Okay guys, I wanted to talk for a little bit about the negative effect that Hollywood has had on guns and our gun rights. And let me tell you something. If you don't think that Hollywood has had a negative effect on guns and gun owners, then you must be living with your head in the sand or under a rock. Because I'm going to tell you that more things have been said and done and wanted to do and wanted to be banned on guns because of things that were seen in Hollywood that it would blow your mind if you only knew. Some of these people that make up these bills and these different so-called assault weapons bans, they have no clue of what they're talking about. And I find it very ironic that the people that we have, the senators and the Congress people that write up these bills about what they want to restrict on firearms and what firearms that they want to restrict, these are the same people that have the least amount of knowledge on firearms. How did that become okay? When did that become the norm? That we take somebody that knows the least about something and we say, okay, we're going to use you to go ahead and write up these bills on what you think should be banned. I know you don't even know how to chamber an AR-15 or how to load rounds into the assault clip that it carries, but we're going to use you to go ahead and write up bills and you tell us what we need to restrict. Let me get my pointer out. My G-Lock Gen 4. Okay, now I feel better. I got my pointer. Okay guys, so seriously though, do you think it would be prudent for me to walk into NASA and me to start writing down a list of things on their new rocket that they don't need? Heat tiles and different things that I have no idea what the word means. Do you think it would be okay for me to walk into NASA and say, well, I'm looking over your new rocket you got there, and I'm definitely seeing some things you don't need on that rocket, or I'm seeing some things that we can change? That's ludicrous, right? It would never be allowed. So why do we allow it in our Congress and with our senators? Trying to think of her name. I think her name is Kathy McCarthy. Some goofball whack job politician that some years ago wanted put in some restrictions and wanted to have bans on certain firearms. This news reporter was asking her, what is a barrel shroud? And she was skirting the question, which is a common thing to do. He said, what's a barrel shroud? And I think the first thing she said is, well, we're going to the guns that were most likely to be used by criminals, and were most likely used by criminals. So he asked her again. He asked her 3 times what a barrel shroud was. Finally, she says, I don't know. And then she says, I think it's a shoulder thing that goes up. And he told her no. So you see, we literally have buffoons in the Senate and Congress that are trying to make these laws to restrict these items and put restrictions on firearms for the law-abiding citizens, because the ultimate goal, as it was with Hitler, is to disarm the citizens so they are helpless. And just keep in mind, guys, that this was always Hitler's #1 plan. So the first thing he did was disarm the citizens. Now, why is the push for magazine restriction so important to the liberals and the anti-gun people? Well, there's one reason for this, guys, and maybe you'll start to see the light when I spell this out. Even Clinton had spoke with people about this back in his years, off the record, not in the public eye. They know that they can't come out, or how hard it would be to come out and say, we're just going to flat out ban the AR-15, we're going to ban AK-47s and all their variants. They know how hard of a job that would be to do such a thing. So what's the next best thing that you can do? How do you get this to where you can restrict people and take away their rights without coming out and just making a full-out ban? Well, what you do is you chip away at the right. That's the next best thing. Anybody with common sense knows this. The next best thing is to just chip away at that right until it's so flimsy and so faulty that it just crumbles and there's nothing left. So the reason that the magazine restriction is so important to anti-gunners, it's not because, here's what they say. Let me tell you their logic, okay? And let's let's talk about this and see if it makes good, prudent sense to you. Their logic is, if we limit AR-15 magazines to 10-round capacity only, that if there is a mass shooting with an AR-15, which you have a better chance of winning the lottery in your state tonight than you do of being in a mass shooting, if you look up those numbers. And AR-15s are only used in 1.2% of the crime in the whole entire United States. They say restricting the magazine capacity to 10 rounds would give someone a chance. If there's a mass shooter, it would give someone a chance to run in and tackle that man, or to stop him if he's doing a shooting spree. Now, come on, give me a break. This is the lamest, most ignorant excuse that I have ever heard in my life for a 10-round magazine limit. Is because if there's a mass shooter, you'll have a chance to go in and tackle him when he reloads. Total nonsense, okay? The reason that the magazine restriction is so ultra important on handguns and semi-auto rifles is because it's the first step that can be taken to whittle away the rights. Because it's too much of a shock to just say, we're flat out banning Glocks, we're flat out banning AR-15s, we're flat out banning AK-47s. What you have to do is you have to put it in the cold water a little bit at a time. You have to, they want to dip the foot, and then you go down to the ankle, and then you go down to the knee, till pretty soon you're getting into this water and you don't even realize it. You know, you don't just jump in. That's what these anti-gun people and these liberals want to do. So you whittle away. Now it's the magazine. If we have another high-profile crime that's committed by an AR-15, now it's something else, and you keep adding and adding to this until you have nothing left at the end. Because coming out and just saying, I outright ban the AR-15, they know that the American public's not going to take to that. That's why we have to keep every little, right we have with these guns in check. There's maybe guys out there that say, oh, I agree that we only need 10 rounds in an AR-15 or 20 rounds in an AR-15. That's all I use. But you know what? It doesn't matter if that's all you use or that's all you think you need. We have to stand up for all of our gun rights, because if not, we're going to lose them all. You know, let me tell you some of the reasons why Hollywood has been so detrimental to our gun rights and to our cause. Because number one, these anti-gun people that have no idea how to even chamber an AR-15, don't know the names of any of the parts, call it magazines, clips, have no idea what they're even talking about. The only info they get on firearms and guns is what they see in movies. Believe it or not, folks, it's true. It's what they see in movies. In a Hollywood film, okay, let me scratch that. Let me back up here. It would be so nice and so good for us if we could, if the availability to silencers to civilians out there was easier to get. Number one, it's going to help protect your hearing. If there's any houses back behind you from where you're shooting that way, it's going to help the noise level. For those people that live in the houses, you can get more practice in. Like I said, as far as your hearing, it's going to be safer for you. But one of the reasons that suppressors are so mandated and so hard to get is because of what you see in Hollywood movies. In a Hollywood movie, all you see, it's always a guy with black leather gloves going like this, screwing on a suppressor, going into a house, and you hear choop choop. You don't even hear the action of the gun, right? You hear choop choop, and you see feathers fly up from somebody's pillow that he put over their face or whatever. Now, we all know that this is not the case in real life. There is still noise that comes out. The action of the gun, you still hear that. It is not a whisper, quiet thing. Okay? But these people that know nothing about guns, They think that the only thing that a silencer is for somebody that has black leather gloves and is going in to shoot somebody in the face while they sleep. It's just not the case. Hunters could use this. It would another benefit of a silencer. If you're hunting and you're using a silencer, and yes, you can get them on rifles and different things like that. Other hunters that are off, let's say you're all hunting this way, okay? You're hunting this way, but you're all, you know, at different areas. There may be a hunter 2 miles down that way, and your shot may scare off animals where he's at, whereas if you have a suppressor, it would help to for this man that's out there hunting as well. So there's a lot of benefits to suppressors, okay? Another thing is the never having to reload. You know, you see movies where guys go a half hour shooting the same gun and never reload it. The unbelievable can never be done accuracy. You know, I once seen a movie, I think it had Matt Damon in it, and he's inside of a building, and he's at the stairwell, and you know how, like, it's a building that's several stories high, and there's a window at every story at the end of this hallway. Well, this guy falls off the balcony or jumps or whatever, and as he's falling through the air, when he passes this window on this floor where Matt Damon is, he somehow shoots him and hits right between the eyes. Fantasy. That's all it is fantasy. Too many of these people take what they see, they take these things literally. These things that Hollywood does. And isn't it ironic that some of the most liberal anti-gun people to ever walk on the face of this planet use and glorify guns in their movies because it lines their pockets with money. They sell out every single time. That's all they are, is sellouts. These same people that make, produce, write, star in, have everything to do with these movies are the very ones that hate your right as an American citizen to keep and bear arms. But some of their biggest grossing movies ever are movies that glorify and are all revolved around a gun or guns. Because see, when it comes to the money aspect, it doesn't matter anymore. They'll leave their feelings at the door when it's going to line their pockets and make their pockets fat. And I think it's so weird, and even some of these actors that have been coming out for gun control, and I just can't believe it. Some of these people made their career around guns in movies and killing in movies. So if you want to tell me anything, you better not be making movies with guns and portraying that you're killing people, and then you want to come out and do a commercial where you think that certain things should be banned. I'm not hearing it from you. You understand what I'm saying? This is my right as an American. Okay? Gabby Giffords, I'm sorry you got shot, but you know what? You're not going to restrict anything that I've got because some guy went nuts out where you were at. Just like I know somebody that was killed by a drunk driver, Gabby Giffords. I'm not coming out to your driveway and taking your car with a tow truck, because you should never have a car again because some drunk driver slammed into you. You ever going to drive drunk? No, right? Well, I'm never going to kill anybody with this either unless it was in self-defense and I had to fear of serious bodily harm or death, or in protection of others. You understand where I'm coming from? You are not going to restrict me on anything that I own or anything that I have. And that's just the way it is, guys. You know, sometimes things happen, and with ultimate freedom and liberty, there's always going to be a small price tag to pay. Yeah, will there be some occasion where somebody goes in and takes an AR-15 or a Glock and starts to shoot randomly at people? Yeah, there's going to be that occasion. But you know what? There's also going to be that occasion where somebody gets behind the wheel of a car and texts on a phone, or they've had a little bit too much to drink. They had that one for the road that they shouldn't have, and they're going to swerve, and they're going to drive into a car that's got a family full of people. It happens, guys. It happens all the time. But you know what? If we went and we could restrict every little thing that's going to kill somebody, swimming pools, hundreds of children die every year in a swimming pool. But if we went and we restricted everything that could kill a person in this country, we'd be in a bubble and we'd all have to sit in our house all day. Sometimes there is a price tag with freedom. Sometimes there is a price tag with liberty. And you know what? Banning my right to own and keep firearms would be the hardest one of them for you to ban out of all the things I mentioned. because it's in the Constitution of the United States, the document that our country was founded upon. And let me tell you guys another thing. When they wrote this document, they weren't speaking of sporting purposes and hunting rifles. They were speaking of AR-15s. Even though those weren't around at the time, our founding fathers expected us to have exactly what the military have. And we can't. You can, if you go through the right channels, you can get machine guns, and if you got $25,000 to blow, and you can find one on the used market, and you wait 8 months for the ATF to come back with your paperwork, you can own a full auto gun, pre-86. But I'm going to tell you, our founding fathers meant one thing when they wrote that document. They meant for the right for law-abiding American citizens to be able to protect themselves, and they meant for the law-abiding citizens to be armed just like our government. Alright guys, I hope you found this vid informative, and I'll talk to you next time. Until then, this is H4T, and I am out.